Coming to you from the Yard Dawgs Podcast studio. A show for the fans, by the fans. Talking all things Cleveland Browns, from our mic to your ears. With your hosts, Jason Hand and Mikey P.
Awesome. I played the old intro, Coltrane. Welcome to the Yard. You're now in the Yard. Welcome to the Yard Dawgs Podcast, a show for the fans, by the fans. This is season 4, episode 123. I'm your host, Jason Hand. The Yard Dawgs Podcast is brought to you by Network 216. To check out all of our Ohio sports content, subscribe to our Network 216 YouTube channel. Joining me tonight, my co-host, my partner in crime, the one and only Coltrane. How are you doing, buddy?
Not too bad, man. We're missing our counterpart, but
I told
Mikey my mom will be upset, but I'll try to talk her down. She's a big fan of Mikey. I think even bigger than Coltrane. She's a huge fan of Mikey. So, like I said, I'm sorry, Mother, but if you're watching out there, Mikey will not be here today, but he will be on next week, that's for sure. But yeah, we miss our counterpart, but good news is we got a guest to take his place. So that's okay.
We do. Yeah, you're right. We're missing Mikey P tonight, and we miss you every once in a while. You're not here, and you know, like your mother, I have friends that are fans of you guys, and I especially have one friend, J. Paul Piccoli. He's a big Chiefs fan. He's always talking about the Coltrane. So you got some love out there too, brother.
We got to get J. Paulie on the show sometime, man.
We will.
When we get into the draft, maybe getting closer to the draft or after the draft, so we can talk about his Chiefs a little bit on our show, and we can talk about our Browns.
Yeah, maybe after the draft when all the dust has settled, and we can. Speaking of drafts, I was just watching. We do have a guest, and we'll get him on in a minute. But before I came up here to the podcast room, I was watching NFL Network. The 1983 NFL draft was on. And wow. I don't know if you're familiar, Coltrane, but there was some talent in that draft, bro. They had John Elway, who went number 1 to the Baltimore Colts, and he did not like that. In fact, he said, I'm not going to play for you guys. I'm actually just going to play baseball for the New York Yankees. And I haven't finished the episode, and I don't know how it shook out, but eventually the Denver Broncos obviously got John Elway. But check this out, dude. Jim Kelly was in that draft. Dan Marino was in that draft. Willie Gault, the wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. Eric Dickerson, the running back for the Rams. Like, there's some major talent.
There was a lot of names in that. Yeah,
a lot of names. And it's just funny, when you're watching the NFL draft in 1983 versus we're about to see the draft next week in 2023, what a difference it is. Like the NFL draft, although it was a show and, fans tuned in, to watch it, it's nothing like it is today.
No, now they got, obviously the movie magic people got involved to where, now you got, whoever's coming out at QB. Now they got this rotating video where he's like, just all around him. He's got the football. Like, come on, like that kind of stuff in the 80s and 90s did not exist. But I just love how it's like, whatever theme it is, it's like this huge, big accent now on the players, and just like, obviously just a big. They make it a big deal. Like, honestly, too, I'm not gonna lie to you, Jason. Like, I love the 3 days, but it's like, especially that first day. I mean, well, I guess just as a Bronson, I've hated it just because that first day we're never there. We had the OBJ trade, now the Deshaun trade. So it's just like, I feel like I'm just waiting a day or so at least just to get the party started. But yeah, that's all the movie magic and all the cinematographer people got involved now. And that's why it's this big 3-day event to where, commercials, all that stuff. It's almost like a Super Bowl, man. It's like a Super Bowl for advertisements and all that stuff because they know we're all tuning in.
Yeah, and all the players come out and give Roger Goodell the big bear hug. I forget which player started that, but now every player does it. So that's kind of cool, So yeah, we have the draft next week. We know that the Browns, we don't have a pick till the third round, so stay tuned for that. But we do have a special guest tonight. He's coming to us from Picktown Browns Backers. Last year, I don't know if you were with us yet, Coltrane, but we actually we had Browns Backers Month because we value the Browns Backers, especially with Mikey P being the treasurer of his local Browns Backers club. My dad was a big advocate for the Browns Backers. I remember that as a kid, him taking me my first Browns Backers meeting, and Brian Sipe was there as the guest at this lunch. And, I'm taking this Polaroid picture of Brian Sipe and my dad, and I still have that picture today. So I kind of grew up with the Browns Backers. Mikey obviously has tremendous respect for that. So this year we thought we would continue, paying homage to the Browns Backers. We have a special guest tonight. Before we welcome him in, I'd like to welcome our audience to the Yard Dawgs Podcast tonight. If you're watching us from YouTube, the Network 216 YouTube channels. If you're watching us from Twitter, we're on 3 Twitter accounts broadcasting this live, also on our Facebook page as well. So however you might be watching us, thank you for tuning in the Yard Dawgs Podcast. We have a great show for you tonight. Let's go ahead and welcome in our special guest, the man of the hour from Picktown Browns Backers, right outside of Columbus, Ohio. Let's welcome Andrew to the show. Andrew, welcome to the Yard Dawgs Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
Absolutely, man. Pre-show, you had asked if it's okay if you have a beer. I have a beer. What are you drinking tonight, Andrew?
Oh, I'm drinking Elvis juice from Brewdog.
Elvis juice from Brewdog? Is that what you said?
Yes, sir. It's
I have not had that. Have you, Coltrane? What does it taste? What does it taste like?
It tastes actually it's an IPA, but it also has a grapefruit kind of flavor to it. It's brewed out over here in Canal Winchester, right down the road from us here. They've got a huge hotel and brewery that's brought some tourism in, so it's been pretty cool. So yeah, I have to shout out the local brewer here.
There you go.
You'd actually be good friends with my wife, Andrew, because she actually has that beer in our fridge at our Columbus, Ohio place. So it actually gets as far as to Columbus out here as well. So you already be friends. Be in tight with my wife because she's a big fan of Elvis juice. She drinks it all the time.
You can't go to a bar here in Columbus where it's not there. So yeah.
Yeah, see, me being an outsider from Virginia, I'm just not privy to all these flavors that you speak of. But welcome to the show. Enjoy your beer. Hopefully our audience is enjoying their beer. We got the Cavs coming on, guys, in less than an hour. Normally our show is at 7, but because the Cavs are playing at 7:30, we thought we'd go ahead and kick things off at 6:30. So we will get you out of here in time to watch the Cavs. They need a rebound, right? You guys are Cavs fans. They need a rebound against the New York Knicks. What do you guys think their chances are tonight? Andrew, I'll start with you.
Well, to borrow your phrase you just used there, rebound. If they remember how to rebound, we might have a shot to get some of those offensive rebounds as defensive rebounds. Don't let the Knicks, walk all over us over on their side of the court. If they do that, we should be able to handle it pretty easily, especially Donovan Mitchell goes Super Saiyan mode.
What about you, Coltrane? What are your thoughts on the Cavs tonight?
Well, I mean, for one, you had the New York Knicks fans hooting and hollering after one win. I mean, they were all over Twitter. They were on the streets, Knicks in 4, Knicks in 5. I got news for these type of fans. This isn't the NFL where it's playoffs. You go home, one game, if you lose, you go home. This is a 7-game series. So to properly answer your question, Jason, I would say this. If we win this game, which I think a probability is pretty good, I don't think they will drop 2 at home that early, even with them not being playoff. That's the excuse seems to be around Cavs organization. They're not playoff ready. Young guys, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's excuses. But if we can win this game and find a way, and obviously he mentioned that rebounding would be the key. If they can find a way to win, it's even Steven. You go to New York now twice. You try to get them one at home, whether it's the first game or the second game. You try to get that 7th game. You try to even it up to where you're bringing that 7th game back to to Cleveland. So this is very important game. I don't think people realize how important it truly is, just because you don't want to go in a 2-game hole going to New York, the shit stain of America. I mean, you just don't. You don't with those fans and Spike Lee sitting courtside. You don't want that situation, man. So we have to win. But I will just say this, because I've been wanting to say this publicly for a while now. I hate the Knicks. I hate New York. I hate Spike Lee. I hate everything they stand for. And it's videos that I watch the next morning where I don't know New Yorkers personally, but I'm watching these videos and these guys with their New York accent like, oh, Cavs ill, man. You know, Nixon 4. And I'll just leave it at this. Like, this is important to me just because obviously the Yankees got us. Like, we need a win against New York. Like, I need that win. Even Buffalo kicks our ass now with the Browns. Like, we need this dub. We need it more than ever. So please, Cavs, fingers crossed. As soon as this goes out, I'll be heading up to my room with my wife to watch the game. Go Cavs. I know this is a Browns show, but tonight, let's go Cavs.
The old Irish goodbye from the Cold Train tonight, right at 7:30. He is out.
Oh, not even a goodbye. I might send you a tweet on the tweeter before I leave, but that's all you're getting tonight, Jason. I'm sorry, buddy.
Well, we're glad to have you while we have you, Cold Train. You know that I've heard it said that the series doesn't start until the home team loses at home. Well, this series has started because that's what happens. Started in game 1, get that loss out of the way. But yeah, it's time for them to. You're right. This game is important. I'm a huge Suns fan, and the same thing happened to us. You know, we dropped the first game. It's like, what? So we need to come back and win that game too as well. We are here to talk about Browns, though. We're going to do just that. Andrew VanMeter, is that how you pronounce it?
Yep, just like it's spelled. Is
the president, El Presidente of Picktown Browns Backers. Tell us a little bit about your club, Andrew.
We're a pretty big club, actually, down here in Pickerington. At one point, we were trading blows with some of the other bigger clubs in Columbus, and one of the biggest in Central Ohio, actually. But we're still pretty big. I think last time I checked, the member portal was about 170 members registered.
Heck yeah!
And you know, some weeks you can see we packed that place sometimes, so it's pretty great. We just love hanging out, watching the Browns, raising money for Make a Day Foundation, which helps get the homeless off the streets here in Columbus. They do a lot of great things. Ken Callahan is one of the board members that is also a club member of ours that, you know, we are our main contact for them. So they do a lot of great things. So we raise some money for them and overall have a great time. Have some players out from time to time. I think last year we had Felix, Wright, Hanford Dixon, and Greg Pruitt out to visit the club. So that was a lot of fun.
I know Browns backers clubs are really big on charity, so that's good to know that you're fighting for a good cause as well with the Browns backers. Now, you said you're the president of the organization, the club. How long have you been president?
Took over in 2016 when we went 1-15. Didn't think it would get any worse, and then 2017 happened, and I won 16. But
nothing was more challenging than the pandemic, because you were the president through the pandemic years.
That was a fun year. So yeah, I was telling you a little bit about it before the show. So for the pandemic for 2020, every place is shut down. Everyone's just doing carry out. So we got special permission from Cardo's down there in Pickerington, we're our home location, to run a live stream event where we live broadcast it on Facebook, encourage people to come out and order carry out. They mentioned a club. We gave them out a free gift card and a free trading card. A few autographed ones were mixed in there. Had some players call in. Webster Slaughter of note. Felix Wright was in there too. And a few other big ones. I'm pretty sure Hanford Dixon was there too. And had Quincy Carrier also online when we made our draft pick, and I believe that was the year we picked Jed Wills. Yeah, left tackle. Mm-hmm. So that was a lot of fun. Just getting people out and giving people something to look forward to while we're all trapped at home. So that was a lot of fun.
Right on. Well, Coltrane and I are going to swap questions for you, and I'll take the first one if that's okay, Coltrane. You have seen and been a part of a lot of Browns games with your Browns Backers Club. What game is the most memorable out of all the games you've seen at Browns Backers Bar? Like, can you pinpoint one game that was just like you walked away, you're like, man, that was the game? What was the most memorable game?
The most memorable game was I was not a president yet. I was just a member. It had been 2014. Brian Hoyer against the Tennessee Titans. We're down, I think it was 28-3.
Mm-hmm.
And he just led this miraculous drive back where it ended up, I think his jersey is still in the Hall of Fame today. His touchdown pass to Travis Benjamin to have us go ahead, and that block punt for a safety. That was just awesome. It was amazing to see.
I remember that game. You're right. I think it was like 28 to, I don't know. Was it 28-3 going into halftime?
28-6, yeah.
And you were just thinking as a Browns fan, I know I was like, oh, it's just another game. We're just going to, pack it in and lose this game. But that's not what happened, man. That was an exciting game for sure. They came back and actually won. Was that in Cleveland or is that?
That was in Tennessee.
That was in Tennessee, yeah.
At the time, I think still to this day, it's the largest road comeback win.
Mm-hmm. See, I thought you were going to maybe say the Thursday night game where Baker came in, but that was a good answer. I like that.
I was tempted to say week 1 last year when with the, I think, 58-yard field goal to beat Baker Mayfield in Carolina. But the Brian Hoyer game was really special.
Yeah. That game 1 last year was very special. I mean, Coltrane, we were talking on the show last year, man. I mean, we needed to not only win that game just to start off the season on the right note and 1-0, but we had to beat Baker Mayfield. Like, we finally had to just beat him, put that to rest, and then just move on. And it came to a long field goal to do it, but thank God we got through that with a win. It's unfortunate they didn't carry that into going against the Jets in week 2, but that's maybe for another discussion. Coltrane, you have a question for Andrew?
Yeah. So obviously with Browns backers, you see contests, giveaways, all that. I'm going to test your knowledge on single item here. What is the coolest thing you guys have ever given away, like Browns autograph wise or just Browns wise, where even yourself, Andrew, you were like, man, I really wish I could get that item, but it's for everybody. It's for charity, whatever. But I'll throw it to you. What's the coolest item you've seen going through the Backers Club, given away or in a contest?
The coolest thing I'd have to say, it's a tough one. I'd say we had a framed Denzel Ward autographed jersey we gave away last year at the end of the year.
Oh, nice.
That was I had a couple pictures in the corners and just the autographed Denzel Ward jersey. It was hanging up all year at the location, so we were just counting it out. It was a year-long raffle we did, and I gotta say that's probably the coolest thing to come through. I really wanted, I really was tempted to go and find one of my own, procure and hang up in my lounge.
Okay. All right. Well, let's lead into an easy one for you. Obviously, you kind of answered this question a little bit with what you said earlier, but what current or past Browns players have you met through your Browns Backer Club? I'm sure as a member and as a Presidente, you've met quite a few players. So I'm sure the listeners would love to know, like, who have you met? Who have you talked to in person?
At our club, I've met, let's see, originally Ed Betteridge was the first one we brought in, which I think a lot of clubs have had him in. He was in the 1964 championship team. Really, really cool guy to talk to. Hanford Dixon always lights the crowd up, and he's been in my club a couple times. We had Reggie Langhorne was out here last year for the draft, not last year, the year before last for the draft. Felix Wright.
Reggie Langhorne, that's a cool one.
Yeah. Actually, photo right here. I got of him. Actually had him sign it I took a picture of him at a Browns Backers Summit I was at. I actually had him sign it, and it's hanging up here on my wall, as you guys can see. And then Greg Pruitt we had last year for the draft too.
Ooh, Greg Pruitt. Now, what happens there? Do you I guess I would like the behind the scenes. Do you invite them? Like, do you have to give them any incentive to come out there? Do they just go on there? Like, how does that all work? Do you handle that yourself, or how does that go about?
I generally handle it for the majority of the men I listed. They've come out. I reach out to their agent and arrange the appearance.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's money raised to the club, and typically that we go through and we that's how we book them. Is just we raise the money through the raffles and get them out here.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool. I've always wanted to know behind the scenes stuff. You know, sometimes you see a Hanford Dixon or you know, and I don't know if you listen to this show, but obviously Jason knows when I went to the draft thing the Browns had this past couple months ago now, but I got to meet Hanford Dixon, Nick Harris. The punter was there. Don't make me say his name, Jason. I know we practiced on a show 2 weeks ago, but yeah, I'm not saying his name tonight. But no, it's cool, and you wonder like how that all goes about, how it all gets set up. But it sounds like you've had a fair share of A-list celebrities of the past for sure. So that's awesome. How often do you go to the games?
Not as often as I'd like. I'm just running a club. It's a lot. I can't do it without my board. I'll shout them out right now. Actually, if you guys don't mind, our social media coordinator John Young runs our Twitter account, which is how we were in contact for this today. My VP John Miller, our treasurer Michelle Anelli, and of course my wife. Without her, I wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff. She's my rock. Jill, Jillian VanMeter. So. So thank you to, if my board's watching, if anybody comes across this, thanks for everything you guys do. But getting out the games, we make a game experience over here in Pickerington. So, yeah.
Do you guys have any off-season get-togethers for your Browns Backers Club? Like, here's the frustrating part of being a huge NFL fan is like the off-season takes forever. It does. Now there's some stuff that's going on. You got free agency, you got the draft, and off-season workouts, programs, training camps, and that kind of the schedule release. But it is a long off-season, man, between the Super Bowl and the first week of the year. So is there anything that you guys keep them dialed in, with your Browns Backers Club? Do you guys have like golf tournaments or get-togethers? What do you do during the off-season?
Well, that is a challenge. Usually we run a draft party. This year is, I think, the first year we're not doing a draft party. Just not having a pick till third round. It's hard to do. Our home bar location, Cardo's, is having a Buckeye Cruise for Cancer fundraiser. They're doing that Friday night. So, no draft party this year, but usually we try to run that. And of course, preseason games will get involved. Outside of that, we really don't do too much to draw people back out to the club to hang out. I'd like to potentially do a golf outing at some point, but time and effort are limited.
Yeah, golf's a good thing to do with the fellas. I don't know if you play Coltrane, but Mikey Peter and I, we're going to get into a golf tournament May the 8th together for second year in a row. But we're definitely going to plan something out here for the Tidewater Browns Backers. Just give them a shout out. They're definitely friends of the shows, but of this show and Network 216. But we're going to eventually organize a Tidewater Browns Backers golf tournament during the off season, because I think that is something really cool that you guys can get together and raise money for charity, which I know the Browns Backers are huge in.
Absolutely.
Now, Coltrane thought maybe he saw something about a chili cook-off on your Twitter page or maybe Facebook. Tell us about that. How'd that go?
This is actually first annual chili cook-off we had this year. We just last game of the year, we decided, let's all get together. Let's make some chili. Everyone likes chili. So we had just an open enrollment. Everyone bring a crock pot. And it had a pretty decent turnout for the last game of the year and for the chili. But we ended up, I think, giving away an Amari Cooper autographed jersey to the victor.
Nice.
We had the Make a Day van out there, which, people were able to go on tour, look inside, see how they were going and making meals for the homeless and the unfortunate and displaced people here in Columbus. And yeah, all in all, it was good for awareness for Make a Day. So that was kind of the main focus, and I'm hoping this year to potentially grow it a little bigger.
Yeah, I've been in a couple of chili cook-offs, and there's a big talk when you get into chili. It's like, do you do it with beans or no beans? I don't know how you guys do your chilies, but mine has beans in it. Did the winner of your chili cook-off have beans?
Yes, actually, the people's choice and the judges' choice both had beans.
Yeah, well, very good. Coltrane, do you have any more questions about the Browns backers?
Yeah, of course. Just one more question. This is just personally for you. Watson guy or not a Watson guy?
You're going to make me take a side here, huh? As a player, Watson guy. I think he's a heck of a talent. I think we have a good chance to go forward with him, assuming he's going to bounce back to form this year. He's had a record of just, if you look at his past work, he's going to progress back to the mean, at least. With that and all the offensive talent we've added around him, he's got no excuses this year. It's going to be a good year. Off the field, of course, I have my own reservations on that. There's a lot we don't know, but from what we do know, he's not a role model in that situation. But we didn't bring him in to be the role model. We brought him in to be the quarterback. So, in a nutshell, I'm a Watson guy. Just not a big fan of the human, more of the player.
Stand up guy. Okay, awesome.
Yeah. I feel better about Watson this year. I think it really hit home for me, when off-season programs kicked off, I think it was yesterday, and just seeing him walking in the building, he looked like he was going in there with a purpose. And it just kind of hit me all of a sudden, like we're getting the whole year of Watson. Last year, although he was here, he knew he wasn't going to play. I mean, he didn't know how many games at this time last year, I think that's what we're talking about this time last year is how many games did he get suspended for? And we went through all that, and we won't get into it now. But this year, I think, most of it, all of it is behind him, and all of it is behind us as fans. So now we can literally focus on playing football. And it just kind of hit me yesterday. I'm like, man, this guy's here. He's here for the whole thing. He's been working out already with different wide receivers, and he's in the building now, and they're just starting to kick things off. We're starting to see interviews come in with, different players. But as far as Watson, I feel good about him this year. I really do. I think he's going to have a great year for the Cleveland Browns, and I'm excited to have him on the team for sure. And I know how you feel about him, Coltrane.
If you guys remember too, and this is what I want to tell the fans out there, it's funny, sometimes people will forget. If you remember now, our old QB would have been on a boat or a yacht somewhere with OBJ and Landry partying it up, meeting for his version of OTAs, whatever that might have been. But for me, I'm with you, Jason. Seeing Watson happy today and with a purpose. You're hearing these interviews today. How can a Browns fan not get excited? I mean, I buy into this stuff so badly, but they're talking Super Bowl parades. When do you really see the players get that excited before? Like, I know it's, the Steelers fans and Ravens fans are going to rip us for it, but when do you really ever see guys that it's a Browns player and Watson mentioned it today in his interview, talking about, he knows, he was saying whatever Jim said, I'm with them. Like, obviously the city wants the parade, blah, blah, blah. I mean, just hearing that stuff sometimes and them making statements like that, it gets you excited because I've never heard that before. And they're not saying, hey, Super Bowl's coming to Cleveland, but their mindset is the bigger picture. So it's like, at least finally from what I've seen from the videos, and it's not just Watson, it's all the players coming to that building, that excitement factor is there. You can see it all over their faces. This is the year that I'm really feeling good as far as just what Stefanski's been teaching these guys. It's like they're buying in, and now with Watson at the helm, I just love the new Browns. I'm with Andrew, what he said earlier. I think this is going to be a good. Just something feels different about this year, And like I said, I guess I'll end with this with the Watson. He looks like I agree with you, Jason. I think his mind wasn't even fully there last year because you knew you weren't going to play the whole season. He knows he's got the full season to play. Now, obviously, just injury bugs, injury angels, please keep him strong because we need our guy out there, man. But I'm pumped, man. I'm excited. It's going to be an exciting time, I think, for us Browns fans to experience this season. I really hope it goes well.
I've totally drank the Kool-Aid of Stefanski's going to tailor the offense around Deshaun Watson now instead of Jacoby Brissett or Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's going to be a great compliment to the offense, but it's going to be Deshaun Watson's show, and can't wait to see it.
And this just popped in my mind. Deshaun Watson has been around some decent teams, right? I mean, there's a couple of decent teams with the Houston Texans, but he's never been surrounded by a roster like this. There's talent all through our roster, and you can look at both sides of the ball. You can look at offense and you can look at defense and the key additions they've made this offseason and the last few years. Deshaun Watson has to be excited about that, right? And this team is rallying behind him. Everybody knows this is Deshaun Watson's team. So Kevin Stefanski has to be excited, right? I mean, we all know that Kevin Stefanski is an offensive mind. So I know, he's got to be very excited to have a full offseason with Deshaun and getting the Watson and getting the playbook and get these guys rolling. So I'll just end with that, man. I mean, Deshaun Watson, as I said, he walked in the building yesterday. He just had a confidence about him, but man, he's never had a roster like this before surrounding him, and they're all going to fight for him.
To your point with the roster, I mean, the Texans team he took to the AFC Championship game and lost to Mahomes. That was very reminiscent of what the Bengals have. They didn't have much of a defense except for, of course, J.J. Watt, and the offensive pieces around him were just popping. Then you take the defense away, and all he did was go and put up more yards than any other quarterback in the league that year, 2 years ago.
Yeah, and Nick the dog just, was kind of agreeing with us. Look at all these weapons that Andrew Berry has given to Watson, with Moore and Marquise Goodwin and Amari Cooper and David Njoku and Nick Chubb in the backfield, right? And we were just talking about the Browns running back room before we started the show. It's not as strong as it has been in the past, but you still got Nick Chubb, right? I mean, what a special football player. So we're going to be able to see him. And, Watson has his tight end from Houston to put a cherry on the whole thing. So there's definitely talent. Mick, welcome to the show, man. I see your comments. That's fantastic that you're chiming in. We have a lot of comments rolling in from YouTube. I'm glad to see that because we're really trying to promote our YouTube page. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers, within the next month, and we're very close. So it does excite me to see that a lot of our comments are rolling in from YouTube. I want to talk about this real quick, guys. We heard a couple months ago that there's rumors that the Browns could, get a new stadium. And then, fans were talking about a dome or no dome. Well, it sounds like the Browns are going to get a new stadium. And, for possibly 2 or 3 years, they could play outside of the stadium. So where do you guys want to go with this first? Let's talk about the new stadium. What would you want that to look like? Would you be okay if the Browns built another outdoor stadium, but maybe bigger and better? Or are you guys on the side of, wanting a dome? Where are you at, Andrew? What would you like to see the Browns build for the future?
Absolutely a retractable dome. As I've been to the stadium in the cold weather, a retractable dome all day. Absolutely. Let the sun in on nice days and then just close it when those winds are so swirly. And if you look at our kicker, Cade York, he did really well in the domes. He didn't do so well when he had to deal with the Great Lake, weather. So I'd say absolutely a retractable dome.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you on that. I'm interested to get your thoughts, Coltrane. I think I'm with you on the dome. Maybe a retractable roof, something that they can open up on the nice September, October Sundays. That would be nice. But to have, 60,000, 70,000 barking Brown fans underneath a dome, that really wets my whistle.
Could you imagine the echoes? It would be,
oh my goodness.
wow.
I want the opposing team's eardrums to burst. I want them to get on their bus to leave the stadium and go, what the hell was that? I couldn't hear anything, So I'm kind of with you on that. Coltrane, where do you sit?
Well, as a season ticket holder, I've gone over this on the show before. I'm a cold baby, y'all. I'm sick of putting the big giant Eskimo jackets on and you're putting 5-6 layers on. You're like, oh, I'll be good. You get in your seat and 5-10 minutes in, you're like, all right, I'm freaking cold. Like me and my wife even had hot hands for that New Orleans game. That was the last game we went to. We even had hot hands I had them in my feet. I had them in my hands. Guys, it's an easy no for regular stadium. But one thing I was mentioning to a couple of my coworkers today, which is also from a business standpoint, take the Browns and football out of it. If you get the dome, now you're inviting stuff like WrestleMania. You're going to have people like Drake, Rihanna, the big multi-billion-dollar artists come here with that dome. And if you guys know, if you lived in Cleveland as long as I have, and I know, when football season's over, it just sits there. Minus a Bon Jovi concert here and there, or, somebody's orchestra coming to town, the Michigan Ohio State hockey game, that was cool, that was in the First Energy at the time, but they don't really do anything with it. So in my opinion, if you're talking about $1 billion project anyways, don't F this up. Don't pull a Buffalo on us. Complete the dome, give us and I talked about this in the show before, Jason. I want to see if Andrew agrees. We're not that 60s, 70s team anymore where we dominate in the snow. These guys are prima donnas. This is Deshaun Watson. He likes to play in the dome. We have to cater to our players. At the end of the day, I'm just saying, if this is going to be our guy and these are going to be our players, I wish there was a game I could call upon guys where I was like, oh, we went in there and we ran the ball with Nick Chubb and it was snowing all day, but that's Browns football. No one says that anymore, man. It's 2023. So please get with the times, get the dome. It's like I said, I don't know about you fellas. I'd love to go to a WrestleMania show in Cleveland. That'd be cool as hell. Plus, it's good for the city, man. Everybody will come. They would create more hotels, obviously, to make it an even bigger draw. It would just be a good thing for the city, the dome versus no dome. Not even talking football, You
think if we build a dome, we have a chance at a Super Bowl?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that would. To me, that sells it right there. Just the idea of bringing the Super Bowl to Cleveland, that'd be great.
I just think, when I think of, a stadium build, Jimmy Haslam is not cheap. He is not a cheap guy. He'll throw his money around, and he as bad as First Energy Stadium is, he's done a lot to that stadium as far as putting the up to date technology, the workout rooms. Like he's put money into First Energy Stadium. We can't ignore that. So I don't know. I just think that an owner like Jimmy Haslam, he's not going to go cheap on it. I'm on the side, as I'd mentioned. I want the dome. I want the loud noise. I'm with you, Coltrane. You'd mentioned, the other events. Andrew, you mentioned about the Super Bowl. I think it does a lot for the city of Cleveland to have a dome. You can have a lot more events there. The fans are going to have a great experience. The season ticket holders, Coltrane, you're one of them, man. You just talked about it. Going to the last game of the year, you have hot hands and they don't work. They feel like ice cubes towards the end of the game. That's not fun. And then you see your team lose anyways. Deshaun Watson, you mentioned, he's not a cold weather guy. He thrives in a domes. You're right, Coltrane. The old school player, that's gone. Like that's been gone for a long time. These guys, they're tough. Don't get me wrong. They're not wimps or anything like that. Like they can play in cold weather, but I think if you give any NFL player an option besides the insane ones, there's always going to be a few. Most of them want to play in a temperature controlled environment, fast track. That's just the way it is. Like the Cardinal Stadium, is fantastic. I mean, that's real grass. That's a real grass field out there. And they actually roll it out a couple hours of the day, I think, to get sunshine. And then they roll it back in. And then that's just beautiful. And that's also a retractable dome. So I think there's a lot of thoughts there, a lot of differing opinions. This is just ours, but that's where we sit.
We're actually sitting 4 deep here because you see Italian Knockout just gave us a comment. Thanks for the comment. Yes, retractable dome. So that's 4 of us Browns fans that are yay for the dome. So if Jimmy Haslam, if you're listening, you got 4 Browns fans that are giving it a go. Give it the go ahead. So
thanks for the comment, Michelle. By the way, she's the treasurer of my club. Italian Knockout.
Okay, awesome. All righty. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Yes, thanks for watching. Yes, retractable dome, she's saying. And Mick chimed in. It aggravates me when I hear people gripe about Jimmy and D. The one thing I'll say for Jimmy, that checkbook is not locked away.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think we've seen that for sure.
He's amassed a lot of wealth. He's, he can't take it with you. So might as well, spend it while he's got it.
Yeah. And, everybody was talking about, Deshaun Watson and how much we paid him, $230 million, guaranteed. And, Lamar Jackson still doesn't have a contract, but, then we see Jalen Hurts get that huge, deal. We haven't seen Joe Burrow get his contract yet. There's a lot of NFL players that are waiting on their first big contract. I've seen a couple comments on Brown's Twitter that, 2 to 3 years from now, this Deshaun Watson deal might look like a huge bargain. the way these contracts are going up. But, what did you guys think of the Jalen Hurts deal?
Well, for one, I was happy it basically got the heat off of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, basically, all you see on Twitter anymore, is just people ripping the contract. And, you guys, even my best buddy I play flag football with every once a week, he's, you guys paid him guaranteed money, blah, blah, blah. That's all I hear from this guy. I'm sick of it. So I'm sure you guys are feeling the same. So the more QBs that get more money, good. Like, that's great for us because then the heat will die off. And you're never going to get rid of the sex jokes and all that sex stuff and all that, unfortunately, but at least for the contract. And it's like, right now we're getting double whammy, those 2 negatives, unfortunately, coming at us hard on Twitter. But if you get rid of the one thing, at least, we'll just have to deal with the other. But it's just one of those things, man. I'm with it.
Coltrane, looks like you have an official invite to Picktown Browns Backers. John Miller says, Coltrane, you can always come to Cardo's for the last game, the chili to keep you warm.
Well, I'm coming from Columbus area, so I think that's about, a 40-minute drive? It's not too bad.
Which part of Columbus?
Galena, Ohio. Polaris Parkway, if you know where that is.
About 45 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, 45 minutes. That's nothing. So maybe I'll get your number after the show, Andrew. Me and my wife can join the pick. What is it? The
Picktown Browns Backers.
Picktown
Browns Backers.
Cold trains going Picktown.
Let me.
That'll be my tweet on the tweeter. Cold trains going Picktown. How's that?
Picktown Cold Train.
All right, Picktown. All right. Hey, like I said,
you're definitely welcome to come anytime. Yes.
Because trust me, the away games, I like what this guy's saying, Jason. You heard him. It's the game field experience, not at the game. It's at Picktown. So me and the wife will be heading over to Picktown because, like I said, he says it's game ready and it's the perfect environment for Browns fans. So we'll be welcome there and we'll have to make a stop out for sure.
And Cardo's Pizza. They have good pie.
The pizza? Yeah, how's the pizza? Let's rate it.
We got to know that.
Out of 10, how's the pizza rating over there?
Out of 10, I know if Keith's watching, he's going to ask me to say 10, but I got to be honest, it's all at 8.5, 8.55.
8.5, honest man. Wow.
Yeah.
He's even got the pizza guy watching. He's like, hey, 8.5. He's like the Barstool guy, man. He's taking this serious over here.
He's a homer telling you what you want to hear. He's being truthful.
Yeah. So 8.5. Is it a? So let's give it a whirl. Is it the flaky crust? Is it like crunchy crust, like the cracker pizza? Like what does it look like?
It's a cracker type crust, Donato style pizza, so Columbus style pizza. Toppings are pretty solid. The sauce is pretty solid, and the cheese rivals anybody, I think.
How often do you eat it? Let's be honest, Andrew.
I can't eat it every week because that's just too much. It could be my favorite pizza. It could be the best pizza in the world, but every week you just can't do that.
Okay.
I eat about once every 3 weeks. I'll switch up from pizza to a sub to a salad or something, and then back to pizza.
All righty. Shout out Cardo's Pizza. That'll be my other tweet. Cold Train goes Cardo. How's that sound? Looking forward to it. Can you tell I'm getting excited, guys? I'm looking forward to it. I'm already going to make a date. Once I get off this show, I'm going to get a date with my wife. You know how I get, Jason. I'm pretty serious with my dates.
Yes, you are very serious about your dates. Let's take a short break to hear from one of our sponsors. The Yard Dawgs Podcast and Network 216 are proud partners with Homage, the apparel company. If you haven't tried Homage yet, you are missing out. Homage is always coming out with on-point, cutting-edge sports apparel. Coltrane and I are wearing ours right now. Very comfortable. Showing support for your team doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. As a bonus, you'll get special discounts by using our link to shop at Homage. Support the show, support the network, and do it in style by shopping for all of your favorite sports team gear at Homage. You can find the link on our website, network216ohio.com, or you can look for the link on our Twitter page at Yard Dawgs Pod. Shop Homage today. Andrew, have you heard of Homage, the apparel company?
Yes. They make a good T-shirt. They're usually soft, really, really nice to wear.
Very nice. Yeah, you do know Homage, don't you?
Yep.
Homage is officially licensed. That was the one thing that really got me excited. Number one, we all know that there's a lot of T-shirts made in Cleveland, but not all of them are officially licensed, whereas Homage is. And I'm going to tell you, I bought this shirt maybe 9 months ago, and I've washed it probably 20 or 30 times, and it still looks brand new. It's very comfortable. It doesn't shrink in the dryer. You guys know what I'm talking about. You buy a shirt, you're all excited about it. You wear it. You're like pumped, man, this shirt is awesome. And then you put it in the washer and dryer and oh no, it doesn't fit anymore. Not with Homage, man. You won't have that problem. They make awesome hoodies, and it's not just NFL. They have MLB. You can get your favorite Guardians hoodie. If you're a team of another fan of another team, you can shop for them there. So definitely, plug in Homage here today as their official sponsor of the Yard Dawgs Podcast. Let's get back into our news and notes, guys. Players have started reporting for NFL for the offseason programs. We've seen the interviews on Twitter, on Browns Twitter. We saw an interview from Kevin Stefanski. Things are starting to kick off, guys. We got the draft. It's next week, right? Is the draft next week?
Next Thursday.
Yeah. Next Thursday. Now we don't have a pick on Thursday, but we do have a couple picks on in the third round. Let's see. They do the first round on Thursday, and then the second and third round on Friday. Is that how that goes? And then
yes, and then the last day is Saturday. Yeah.
And then the last day is Saturday. So, although we won't have a pick in the first round, I'll definitely be tuning into it because I love the draft. I love it. I love the draft because these are young guys that have been playing football their whole entire life, and their dreams are realized that night. It just, every time I watch it, a tear will shed in my eye. I mean, because this is people's lives here. And even though the Browns don't have a pick, it's always special to watch the draft. But getting back to the Browns, Myles Garrett, did you guys see this interview with Myles Garrett? He was talking about you probably heard about this story, Coltrane and Andrew, I'm sure you did too, but he was talking about the Pro Bowl, in last year, I don't know about you guys, but I haven't watched the Pro Bowls for years. Like probably I haven't watched a whole Pro Bowl game since high school. And the NFL has been trying to revamp the Pro Bowl to make it better, safer for the players. Well, this past year they had an obstacle course for some of the Pro Bowls, the defensive players. Well, Myles Garrett dislocated his big toe. I think that's what it was. And I thought it was interesting during his interview. He said one of the first things he thought about was Brown's Twitter. Did you guys hear this?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the headline at least. I don't think I clicked the article though.
You know, I heard it on the radio this morning. I don't know which show it was, but it was on 92.3 The Fan. Baskin and Phelps, I think it was. But I thought that was cool, man. I'll be honest with you. I tweet on Brown's Twitter a lot. And sometimes, you know, Coltrane, Andrew, you know this. You throw out a tweet and you're like, man, I wonder if this player will see it or that player. They see our tweets. Yeah. And they care about what we think because Myles Garrett, the leader of our defense, dislocated his big toe. And the first thing he thought about was Brown's Twitter. Get your reaction from that, Coltrane.
Well, the funny thing is about that too, Jason, is with Myles Garrett, I can vouch personally at 3 times total. I can remember the 2 off the top of my head. Once was I had a sack video for my flag football, and I was like, you know, flexing like Myles would or giving a celebration. I just was like, hey, you know, getting my best Myles Garrett on. He liked it, retweeted it. And then I had a groom's cake. My wife made me my groom's cake for the rehearsal dinner before our wedding, and it was 95. It was like a nice little professional cake with 95 on it. And again, I just, you know, added his name like anyone would, you know, with a celebrity. I just at Myles Garrett. I was, hey, you know, hope you like the cake, haha. And again, like the tweet. So I can 100% give you my knowledge, you know, from dealing with Myles Garrett, you know, and that's a star. That's one of our stars. They do read the tweets. They note the tweets. I think they use some of these tweets as motivation, especially people like a Jed Wills, or I'm sure John Johnson was using it last year with all the hate he was getting. I mean, they read these, they use them. They like the support, but also at the same time, like I said, I think they look at every negative, every positive, and it just goes to show you, that quote doesn't surprise me at all, Jason, because not even hearing his interview, I'll laugh later, I'm sure, when I watch it. But these guys do look at this stuff, and especially when you at them, they do take that. And that's what I think was the cool thing, you know, for me. My family knows this, but I always call, like, if you get a Myles Garrett like or a Myles Garrett retweet, I call it touched by the stars. You know, you feel like for that one moment in time, you know, even though he just looked at his phone, he liked something, you know, as a little boy or a fanboy, if you will, that I am of my Browns players, you know, you get a little bit excited, you know, and you wait and show it off to your family, you screenshot and you send it to your friends because, you know, you feel good about it. And it's just kind of cool, especially when Browns players, they are everyday people anyways. A lot of people get that confused. They're just people like you and me, but for them to take the time to respond to Browns players on an app like that, I think that's pretty freaking cool. So
Mikey P chimed in just now. He says Perion is coming for the Coltrane tweets.
Yeah, I'm sure he might have already seen him. He might be at my front door right now, Jason. He
could be. He could be. Perion, woo! Andrew, have you ever had a Browns player like or retweet one of your tweets?
Not one of my tweets personally. The Browns Backers page that's run by John has had Bernie Kosar like one or two. And that was pretty cool. Having Bernie Kosar like a tweet.
Dude, I remember when Bernie Kosar followed me, and it's one of those things that happen to you in your life. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you have some things that happen to you and you know exactly where you were and what you were doing. Well, when I got followed by Bernie Kosar, I can remember what I was doing and even what day it was. It was a Saturday morning. I was reading my coffee. I was reading the newspaper, believe it or not, and I was drinking coffee. My wife was cooking breakfast, and I just happened to open up Twitter, and I saw I had a new follower, and it was Bernie Kosar. I was like, a little schoolgirl, man. I was like, oh my God. And my wife's like, what's going on? I was like, Bernie Kosar just followed me. That just happened. But, you know, that just made my day. And Coltrane, it's happened to me a couple times where a Browns player would like one of my tweets or retweet it. And you said that Myles Garrett, now that's one player that's never liked anything that I've said. So, but that's really freaking cool, man, that he liked a couple of your tweets. I think.
Yeah,
cool.
You know what's funny too, Jason? After our show that we had with Ken Carmen, I was another touched by the stars. I had a tweet this week to where I had a picture of that Angel Reese from LSU with the can't see me, and I had on there Knicks fans after winning one game, and Ken Carman liked the tweet. So obviously Ken Carman's following me now. We had him on the show a couple weeks ago. He was amazing. But that stuff's kind of cool. Even getting it from the local celebrities. Would I care if Dale Ryder liked one of my tweets? Not so much. But the fact that Ken Carman, a guy like him, that I really respect his show, liked my tweet. It's kind of cool, man. I like when celebrities or anybody, I guess, with that blue check that they didn't pay for, likes your stuff. It's definitely a cool moment. And I had to laugh so hard, Jason, because that was literally me with my wife. I had my phone out. I'm like, Myles Garrett liked my tweet. It's just like, whoa, let's go. Now it's the 911. I'm just like, hey, you like my tweet? And she's like, oh, let me see it. And then like I said, you show it off to your family like it's a prize. So I think the players don't know that enough, or just celebrities. Those little moments they take really go a long way, man. And I think to the point of now, I'll probably buy Myles Garrett jerseys for the rest of his career. I mean, those little things sometimes, man, go a long way, especially for their brand and just who they represent. So cool stuff.
Yeah, Myles Garrett's one of my favorites. He's just a cool cat, man.
I agree.
He's just a cool cat, and he just goes out there and handles his business, and he doesn't really talk much. But when he talks, you got to listen because he's probably saying something important. And plus, he's bigger than everybody else, so you better listen to him. I want to get you guys' thought. Andrew, I'm going to start with you. I don't know if you heard this. We're about to land this plane here in a couple minutes, but there's a couple of players I want to talk about. And the first one, I heard today that Damar Hamlin, we followed his story. The whole world did pretty much. He had a cardiac arrest on the football field. Nationally televised game. I think it was a Monday night football game. Could have been Thursday night.
It was Monday night.
I think what was that?
It was a Monday night, yeah, against the Bengals.
Monday night football game against the Bengals. They literally brought him back to life on the football field. As fans, we didn't know what we were looking at, if he was going to make it. But today, the news comes out that he's medically cleared to return to the football field 100%. So I want to get what was your reaction? I don't know if you heard that news or not, but it's pretty special, man. I think. I
was relieved when I saw that. I was good for him. Clearly, he's a player who pours his heart out to play the game. Whether or not he's going to be a superstar in the league, jury's out on that. But the fact is, he plays at a high level, and he almost died essentially. If he can handle it, if his brain can handle it, more power to him. That's great. Get back out there and go live your life. Go build your story. I'm glad. So glad to see he's okay and that he's pretty much made a full recovery though. That is enormous news. That's amazing.
Like that's the best news. Like
right.
The news that he was 100% cleared to play, like that's news, but that he's 100% healthy. That's the best news. But honestly, it wasn't even on my radar that he could possibly even play again. So to hear that news today, I for one was surprised. But Coltrane, I want to get your thoughts on that, man.
On Hamlin?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I was stoked. I actually just saw right before I came downstairs, after I put my daughter to bed, I saw the story get released that he's full go, and he's scheduled to be a full participant in training camp and all that. So yeah, it's good for him, man. I mean, I'm excited for him. It's definitely an opportunity for him to get back on the field. In his position, at least for the Bills, that they have a lot of depth there. So, I'm kind of with Andrew. I'm on the fence kind of a little bit on how well he'll do as far as just like superstar status, but I'm sure he'll get some minutes like he was before he got hurt. And I wish all the best for him, man. I mean, and that's what I think you talked about this on the show, Jason, even though we're diehard Browns fans, and I hope, even the cynical guys, the negative Nancy's believe this too. We don't ever want to see anyone get hurt. Even a Lamar Jackson or a Big Ben, when they go down, I'm not cheering for it just because, these guys are human beings at the end of the day. Like, I would hope that their fan base wouldn't cheer for a Deshaun Watson going out or something like that. But, when these players go down, it really, you understand that they're human. Even these concussions, I mean, that Tua stuff was just straight scary last year. To watch. So just, it just goes first full circle to just understand that they are taking a lot of, it's like human gladiators. I mean, they are taking a lot of risk. That's why a lot of these guys, these athletes, they'll play golf, baseball, stuff like that, where you just can't get hurt as much. But this football, man, when it's toe to toe like that, head to head, anything can happen. Obviously, that we saw, and that was a first for the NFL. And I hope to God, nothing like that, ever again. To be honest with you, or not for a long, long time. It has to happen.
Yeah. So good news there. Life is fragile. I mean, we just learned Chris Smith used to play defensive end for the Browns. He passed away. I don't think there's details on how he passed away. I mean, he was 31 years old, way too young for that to happen. I know he lost his fiance while he was playing here for the Browns, which was extremely sad, just very sad. I think they have a daughter together. So life is fragile, guys. I know that it's easier said than done, but not taking life for granted and just enjoying each day and hug the ones you love the most. And I just appreciate everybody, because you just never know what people are going through and, how long we're all going to be here. We just don't know that. So good news for Damar Hamlin. That's for sure. This is the time of our show. I want to give our guest a chance to give himself a plug. So we've heard about Picktown Browns Backers, but where can we find that club on social media? Because let's face it, we all do traveling, and people might travel to your town where Picktown Browns Backers meet, and they might need a club to go see. So how can we get a hold of your Browns Backers club, and then how can we get a hold of you on social media?
Sure, a couple ways. First thing I need to plug is the Browns Backers website, fans.cleveland.com/Browns Backers. You can find any Browns Backers location wherever you're at. We're all over the country. We're all over the world, actually. So go ahead and check out that site through clevelandbrowns.com. Then, of course, the backer tracker, you can just plug in your zip code and find whichever club you need to find. And then for the club's website, facebook.com/Picktown Browns Backers would be the easiest way to find us. We're also on Twitter, the Picktown Browns Backers handle, just at Picktown Browns Backers. That'd probably be the easiest way to find us. Also, if you're in Pickerington area, you can check us out at Cardo's Pizza and Tavern over here, Refugee Road, right across the street from Pickerington North High School.
Very nice. Coltrane is going to Cardo's. That's a done deal next year. So
Coltrane's going Picktown.
Going to Picktown. Well, we have to land this plane. The Cavs are tipping off momentarily if they haven't already. Just wanted to get your final thought on the Browns off season so far and maybe even this year in 2023, Andrew.
I'd say off season so far, I'd say they hit the ball out of the park. It's been they got rid of the coaches they need to get rid of. Joe Woods was an anchor that was just sinking us last year. Mike Prefer has been I don't understand how he survived as long as he has. He was one of the worst special teams coaches I've ever seen. So we got rid of those two guys.
I would get along real well with this guy. I see that all the time in the show.
Getting rid of those guys, replacing them with, Jim Schwartz he's been nothing short of competent everywhere he's been. Top 10 defenses typically. That's what I'm expecting out of us this year. So from the coaching decisions on down to the receivers we brought in, to the defensive end, the defensive tackles, we've rebuilt every weakness has been rebuilt again. As everyone I talked to last year, I said, I like this team, but, I'm a little worried about this. I'm already a little worried about that. This year, I love this team. I don't see any weaknesses here. Maybe running back depth, if Nick Chubb, God forbid, misses a game, will Ford be able to pick up the slack in his place? I think he can. I think he's got the talent to do that. So all around, I'd say A+. And I don't give those out usually. So no shot for this team.
Yeah. Wow. That's a good comments there about our team. Yeah, you're right. You can probably name some positions that we need to bolster up, hopefully during the draft. You'd mentioned running back, probably need a few defensive linemen, a linebacker or two. But overall, man, I think Andrew Berry and company have done a tremendous job this offseason. There's still some to do. We got several picks what do we got? 9 picks in the draft. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8 picks in the draft. So we got, I don't know if we'll pick all of them, but we got some picks to have next week. So looking forward to that. Coltrane, any final thoughts before we land this plane?
I mean, just what Andrew's saying, what I'm hearing from a lot of fan bases, except Mikey. He's the show me. I need to see it. But for the majority of us fans, we all know, we all feel it. My wife said the same thing you said, Andrew, where last year was basically, she even told me, she's like, because I was like getting excited like I always do. And she's like, you're an idiot. I was like, why? She's like, it's a washed year. And I'm like, what do you mean? And obviously my wife, knows her stuff too. I said, what do you mean? Why is it a washed year? She's like, Watson's not going to come in until that long. She kind of reiterated what I thought and what I've said in the show. After that 6-game suspension was increased, that little bit of Browns fan in you just kind of knew. Even the most mirage you can put on your eyes, like we're going to do well, we're going to go to the Super Bowl. It just didn't exist. Everyone knows from Cleveland to anywhere in the U.S., this is an all-in year. Everybody is throwing, including Jimmy Haslam, literally money-wise, throwing all of the chips in. I've talked about the show or on the show all the time. The chips, the hand is down. The poker hand is down. The chips are all in. No doubt. Everyone's jobs is on the line, or it could be on the line. Every single solitary person in the organization, including players and personnel, are throwing it in on this season. So with that said, I will keep saying and stand on my ground. I want to see a 10 win season. And don't call me crazy. I hate fans that call me that crazy, 8 or 9 or 7. No, I want a 10-game season, man. 10-game win season at the least. Give me that with Deshaun, with this offense. And let me see that offense roll, man. You got the players now. Let me see this on the field, where Bills fans kind of are in that position now when they sit on their couch, where every game, and that's the thing. Last year, every game we were in it. But this is the year now. Every single game we were in it. This is the year now where I want to start seeing like 2 touchdown leads. Like, come on, baby. Like, let's see a team that can dominate some games, not win by a crazy 60-yard field goal in Carolina week 1. F that. I think that actually messed with the kid's guru. Now that I think about that kicker, because that was kind of like the bar, and then any miss after that, everyone's like, oh, boo this man, but he's a rookie. Anyways, that's a whole nother show. Guys, the chips are down. We're all in. Browns, players, personnel, everybody, please, just win, baby. Let's go Al Davis on it. Just win. Win some games consistently. That's all I want as a fan. That's all I want, man. It's all I've ever wanted. Literally.
Coltrane, you always deliver, man.
I wanted to.
I know, and I probably went too long, but you know how I get, guy. You know how I get.
You always deliver. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on the show and representing Picktown Browns Backers. What a tremendous club. They meet at Cardo's Pizza in Pickerington, Ohio. Did I say that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
And
sure.
You can find them there every Sunday. 150 barking Browns there every Sunday watching your Cleveland Browns, and I'm sure they'll be there week 1 ready for you to come for a visit. So thank you for coming on the show. I like to end all of our shows with the Go Browns. So Andrew, Coltrane, if you'll join me on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.